talks continue on whether the SACP will ever act on its decision to contest next year's elections independently. 2 months ago, the Communist Party vowed to only back the ANC in the elections within a reconstructed alliance. In recent years, the South African Communist Party made it clear that it was fed up with not being taken seriously. Now, with the focus on the SACP and ANC, another alliance member may be caught between a rock and a hard place.
Cosatu does not have to choose between the SACP or the ANC, because the SACP has not also pronounced on itself standing alone. So we are in the alliance, we rally behind a victory of the alliance. We are calling for a reconfigured alliance, and we are saying that the ANC must begin to appreciate the importance of these discussions, because the focus of Cosatu is not about how we're going to share positions in terms of deployment. Ours is on policy.
For almost 2 decades, the Communist Party has been toying with the idea of going at future elections alone outside of the alliance. In recent years, the South African Communist Party leaders cried foul, complaining that they with Cosatu are treated as junior partners who are only useful at election time. The SACP has tested the waters in the local government elections in 2016, and now there is some intention to take it further.
It will certainly divide the movement ultimately. We're aware about that. That's the issue. That is why it's so important that all of us in the alliance must pay great attention to this matter, must strengthen ourselves than weakening ourselves. For instance, we have committed to the rebuilding process of SANCO. We've begun to do concrete work as the Communist Party, starting from the ground, to assist the movement to rise from the ground, from its different weaknesses because of factions. And that if we don't tackle these problems of self-interest, of political role players, leaders, our movement will then collapse.
But after fighting side by side with their ANC counterpart in exile to dismantle the brutal apartheid government, political analyst Cosatu says actions will speak louder than words.
It is still early to say whether the SACP will contest the elections alone outside of the tripartite alliance. I think that we can wait to see whether the process of compiling an election manifesto, as well as the contents of that election manifesto, will represent the aspirations and interests of all the alliance partners. Because we must remember that it costs money and resources to contest an election, and any entity within the tripartite alliance that might think of contesting elections on its own will have to ensure that they have got enough resources to do that on their own.
Meanwhile, with elections drawing closer, it's not clear yet if the Communist Party will ever take the next step to contest the election on its own and break away from what others have deemed to be empty promises that have been made by the governing party for over 2 decades now. Nhlanhla Khatlhane, SABC News, Johannesburg.